One question we often get about Abide is how to form a teen before the conference. How do you prepare a teen for the conference? Because this is a discipleship conference, in a certain sense, how we prepare a teen before the conference should set them on a trajectory for their life as a disciple after. So we can keep this pretty simple and address this problem of formation with 3 points: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Let's dig into the first one, prayer. St. Paul says that we're to pray without ceasing, to pray at all times. The Catechism reminds us that we can only pray at all times if we pray at a specific time. So one of the key steps for a teen is helping them establish a daily, consistent life of prayer. One resource I've found that is really helpful to establish someone's daily life of prayer is a little book called Appointment with God by Father Michael Scanlon. In that book, Father Scanlon essentially likens establishing a prayer life to setting up a meeting, an appointment with God. Now, when we set up a meeting with someone else, that meeting is usually so important that it shows up on our calendar. We know who we're meeting with, we know where we're meeting, we usually know about how long, and we know what we're going to be talking about. The same is true for prayer. We need to establish an appointment. It needs to show up on our calendar. We know who we're meeting with. We're meeting with the Lord. How long? What's a reasonable amount of time for this teen to meet with the Lord in prayer? Something attainable. What will we talk about? Well, there are resources in terms of different prayer methods that we're going to include on the Abide website, and they'll be in the comments below. And where will this happen? Where will this meeting take place? That's a tricky one, because oftentimes for a teen, that is one of the obstacles. Where is some space within their house that they can carve out for prayer where they won't be interrupted? When will this happen? Jesus goes off into the hills very early in the morning. I've found in my own life that if I don't pray first thing, oftentimes it doesn't happen. So how do we help that teen carve out the best time that he or she can give God? All right, let's dig into the second one, fasting. Fasting is a voluntary act of my will in which I deny myself something. Usually we think of fasting with regard to food. And a lot of this is tied into Lent because there are 2 days where everyone in the church is supposed to fast, Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. In advance of Abide, we're actually recommending a fasting from technology. Now, this could mean that a teen decides, I'm not going to look at my phone 30 minutes before I go to bed and 30 minutes after I wake up. Or it could mean I'm going to fast from that pulling out of my phone when I'm standing in line at Starbucks and I'm like bored or I feel awkward. Or perhaps it could even be, I'm going to take a day each week to be off the grid and I'm just going to have my phone in airplane mode or turn it off. Or maybe that's too much, so it's just a few hours. On a Sunday afternoon, my phone will be off from 2 o'clock until 5, and I'm just going to have some space off the grid, and I'm going to deny myself. I'm going to deny my will. And finally, almsgiving. A giving of myself in charity, a giving of my time, my talent, or my treasure. I think it could be really cool if we challenge a teen preparing for Abide to pick one of these areas, time, talent, or treasure, in which they're going to give themselves and make a sacrifice for the good of others. So there we go. Certainly not exhaustive, but it gets us started. A simple roadmap to prepare a teen for the Abide conference.